Alrighty, boys. Well, before we get into it, each of you guys tell your story.
Dean, you want to go first?
Yeah, I guess what exactly you want to know, like how we started, where we're from?
Yeah, like how old you are, where you're from, what you started, what got you into SMA to begin with, kind of what brought you to, we'll say up until the point where we first spoke.
Sure. Um, I guess starting off, obviously we're both from Chicago. I'm 25, just turned 25 last week. Um, so I feel kind of old now, but I went through college, got my degrees, worked in corporate America, did the whole 9 yards, and then realized that it wasn't something that I wanted to do the rest of my life. And I knew I had like some business models in the back of my mind. Um, I think Iman Gaji kind of sparked it for me back like over a year ago. And it was like in the back of my head. So it's been over a year now at this point. But um yeah, I mean the biggest thing was just like wanting to do my own thing and realizing it took a year or two of corporate America to realize that. And then ultimately just jumped on the SMMA train and haven't looked back since.
Yeah, and then I guess for me, I mean, I just turned 21 in October, and I don't know. I mean, I think the reason I started was I always knew I was meant for something greater than just going to school and just doing that whole route. And I don't know, I just so happened to watch the right Iman Gadzhi video and talk to the right person, and yeah, here we are.
That's sweet. So I guess when you guys were first starting out, like where are you guys at financially, mentally, physically?
That's a good question. I've talked about this before on a different podcast. But basically I feel like when it comes to like physically and like with my mindset and everything else, like in every other realm besides financially, I felt like I was excelling. Um, and I felt like financially I was lacking. I felt like corporate America wasn't holding up to par of where the rest of my life was, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, So I decided like I need to make a change to have my finances catch up to the rest of where I feel I am, you know. Um, so I feel like financially I was lacking a year ago. This is technically about to be our first 10K month. So I'm excited to see where the next, where 2024 comes. But yeah.
You can go. That's
Yeah.
sweet. Okay, you go.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, in terms of that aspect, financially, I've been working at a gym since I was 15, and I've always been about that hustling mindset and kind of trying to make some money. I bought a car when I was what, like 16, 17, paid it off and all that. And I think for me, like, it's kind of the same thing as a dean, where I noticed that I'm good at the gym. I do MMA, but the finances aren't there, and that's kind of what made us do this, honestly.
So is that why you did want to? Because like obviously anybody could just, go about building an agency on their own. Like what was the motivation behind actually wanting to, I guess, build a network, seek out support, connections and whatnot with your for your agency?
Well, I think the biggest thing, so that's a good story. So I'm kind of like the guy who like found out about you, Carter, and like I did a lot of networking because I knew how important it was.
Mhm.
And I think it was I think maybe 3 or 4 months into, kind of our agency where I found Carter, because I was, trying to figure out how to media buy and all that. And I actually was talking to him via DMs, and he ended up being like, yo, like let's just hop on a call and kind of see where things go, and maybe I can help you guys out. And honestly, I think ever since then, because then I got introduced to RSC and you, ever since then, that was probably the biggest pivotal moment in our agency, like kind of, I guess, path ever, in my opinion. And then following up with that, because Carter was a part of RSC, then I found out about you. So
Yeah, and Carter was a RSC member. And I remember that conversation. So, I mean, I guess knowing what you guys know now, I believe when you started, you didn't have any clients, or did you have one client?
We had one, I believe.
yeah, just
And I remember you guys did like 7.5K in revenue in your first like 3 days.
Yeah, we signed 2 clients
Yeah.
with the first, yeah, it was like 2 clients right away. Yeah. I don't
And then
remember exactly how
now,
much revenue it was, but yeah.
yeah, so then
That
and
was it.
now, closing in on our first 10K month. My real question is like, what would you tell you to like if you could speak to yourselves before you really started this journey or before maybe you met with Carter, like what's the one piece of advice that you would give?
For me, the first thing that comes to mind is speed and volume. A lot of like outreach and a lot of just in general when it comes to business, if you can implement things with speed and implement things with more volume, then you're going to see more results. Like it's a numbers game at the end of the day. I know you touch on this a lot. Um, and that's something that I noticed kind of like early on, like the moment we started implementing more volume on like, let's just say outreach with social media, then that was when we started noticing more sales calls, more closes and etc. And now we're at the point where it's like, we just need, I feel like I'm still not doing enough speed, not enough volume. Like I want to get it to a point where it's like 1 million people a day or some shit.
Yeah, sure. What about you, Kenan?
Man, that's a good question. I think the one thing I would say to myself is probably just pull the trigger on getting help from somebody. Carter was like, YouTube University, that's how I learned everything. But honestly, I feel like I've learned so much being immersed in, all the people in RSC, like Kenan, especially Ishmael, man. I love that guy. He's helped out so much. Just having that network of people
Yeah.
and just pulling the trigger on doing that. Because I'm a stingy guy. I don't like spending money at all. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So when it came to, cuffing up however much money it was to do something like that, I was super against it. And then when Edin was like, dude, we got to do this. And we pulled the trigger. I just wish we did it sooner, honestly. I wish we did that from the get-go.
Well,
Yeah,
we were talking about this yesterday or a couple days ago, and it's like I really love what you said there because I mean, YouTube University only solves the problems that you are aware of. But the biggest thing stopping all of us from making more money is that we don't know what we don't know.
right.
And so you can go to YouTube University and say, how do I hire a sales rep? And you'll stumble across an Alex Hormozy video and he'll tell you how to hire a sales rep. But your problem may be that you have a shitty offer.
Right.
And you can go down the YouTube rabbit hole all you want trying to hire the best sales rep, but if your offer sucks, it's not going to work. And I think like even me personally, because obviously through you guys, but then even with my own connections that I've met in life, I found that like other people, they're able to identify the things that I don't know. And I don't know if you guys have experienced that too.
I mean, I know 100% we have. I mean, just looking at like, there's an instance I'll never forget. Was when we were having trouble, like, getting good quality leads and everything. And I'm over here thinking, maybe it's the creative, maybe it's the copy. And then I think it was you or Alex, and you were like, dude, change the fucking lead magnet. Like I would have never thought about
Yeah.
doing that if it wasn't, for you guys saying that.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys a ton.